Some of y'all remember the exact moment you saw Diana Ross in that gown and thought, that's what I want to look like. It wasn't just about the dress. It was about the way she carried herself, the way the fabric moved when she walked, the way the sequins caught the light and made her seem to glow from within. For black women in the 1970s, Diana Ross didn't just wear clothes. She wore aspirations, dreams, and possibilities wrapped in silk and covered in rhinestones. Every gown told a story about what black women could be: elegant, powerful, glamorous, and unapologetically visible. Do you remember flipping through Ebony and Jet magazines, stopping on the pages where Diana appeared in her latest creation? Those images were studied like blueprints. Women examined every detail: the neckline, the sleeves, the way the fabric draped. They took those images to their seamstresses, pointing at pictures and saying, "Can you make me something like this?" They couldn't afford Bob Mackie originals or designer price tags, but they could afford fabric from the store and someone with skilled hands who understood what they were really asking for. Not just a dress, but a piece of Diana's magic. Diana's fashion evolution in the 1970s was a masterclass in understanding that clothes weren't just covering. They were armor, they were statements, they were declarations of worth. When she left the Supremes and embarked on her solo career, her wardrobe transformed along with her identity. The matching gowns she'd worn with Mary and Florence gave way to individualistic glamour that screamed, "I am Diana Ross, and there's nobody else like me." The gowns from her Caesar's Palace performances became legendary in black communities. Some gowns were covered entirely with sequins that created moving patterns of light. Still others were made from fabrics so luxurious they looked like liquid metal poured over her body. For black women watching from home, Diana's gowns represented more than fashion. They represented the possibility of beauty without compromise, elegance without assimilation, and glamour that didn't require abandoning blackness. The colors Diana chose were strategic and stunning. She understood that certain shades made her skin glow: rich jewel tones like emerald green, sapphire blue, and ruby red. She wasn't afraid of white or cream, despite the old superstition that these colors washed out darker skin. On Diana, white gowns looked ethereal, angelic, proving that black women could wear any color with confidence and beauty. Bob Mackie became Diana's most famous collaborator, creating gowns that pushed boundaries. He understood Diana's body, her movement style, and her star quality. Each gown was engineered to move with Diana, to enhance her performances rather than restrict them. The cost of Diana's gowns were astronomical, thousands of dollars for a single dress. But that didn't stop women from wanting their own versions. Seamstresses in black neighborhoods built thriving businesses, creating inspired by Diana Ross gowns for special occasions: prom dresses, wedding gowns, church outfits for Easter Sunday. These weren't cheap knockoffs, they were tributes. The way Diana styled complete looks, not just the gown, but the accessories, hair, makeup, and attitude, taught black women about the importance of details. Everything worked together to create a cohesive image of elegance and power. Some of y'all remember saving money in secret, putting aside a few dollars each week until you had enough to buy fabric for a special dress. You remember the excitement of going to the fabric store, running your hands over satins and silks, imagining yourself transformed. When you finally put on that finished gown and looked in the mirror, you saw yourself differently. Not as someone trying to be Diana Ross, but as someone who understood what Diana had been showing you all along: that you were worthy of glamour, deserving of beauty, and capable of commanding attention when you walked into a room. Diana's television appearances showcased gowns designed specifically for the camera. Understanding that TV lighting and home screen viewing required different considerations than stage performances. When she appeared on variety shows, award ceremonies, and her own specials, every gown was calculated to read beautifully through the television screen into living rooms across America. Black women watched these appearances with keen eyes, noting which styles translated well to the small screen and which elements they might incorporate into their own special occasion wardrobes. Do you remember Diana's appearances on The Tonight Show, where she'd sit on Johnny Carson's couch looking like she'd just stepped off a movie set? Her gowns for these appearances were sophisticated, elegant without being too theatrical. She often chose gowns with interesting necklines that looked beautiful in close-up shots. These details mattered to women planning their own television appearances, job interviews, or any situation where first impressions carried weight. The 1973 television special Diana featured some of her most memorable gowns. One particularly stunning gown featured layers of chiffon in gradually deepening shades of pink, creating an ombre effect that looked ethereal on screen. Women who watched this special talked about specific gowns for years afterward. Diana's academic award appearances elevated gown watching to a communal event in Black households. When she was nominated for Best Actress for Latest Things the Blues in 1973, Black families gathered around televisions to watch her walk the red carpet. The gown she wore that night, a stunning creation that balanced old Hollywood glamour with contemporary 1970s flair, became instant legend. Women dissected every element of that look, understanding that Diana was representing not just herself, but Black excellence on one of entertainment's biggest stages. The gowns Diana wore to perform at major events like the academic awards were masterpieces of performance costuming. Bob Mackie and other designers rose to this challenge, creating gowns with hidden structural elements that provided support without visible bulk. Some of y'all remember the controversy when Diana wore particularly daring gowns that showed more skin than conservative audiences thought appropriate. Deep V-necks, high slits, sheer panels. These design choices sparked conversations in Black communities about respectability and the freedom to define one's own image. Older women sometimes tisk-tissed at Diana's boldness, while younger women defended her right to wear whatever made her feel beautiful and powerful. The construction techniques used in Diana's gowns were engineering marvels that seamstresses studied and tried to replicate. Professional seamstresses who specialized in special occasion wear for Black clients invested in learning these techniques, understanding that their customers wanted that Diana Ross level of sophistication. The hair and makeup that accompanied Diana's gowns were equally important. Black women learned from Diana's example that the most beautiful looks weren't about covering or changing yourself, but about enhancing and celebrating what was already there. Diana's comfort and confidence in her gowns taught important lessons about the relationship between clothing and self-assurance. She never looked like someone uncomfortable in her clothes. She moved in those gowns like they were extensions of her body. This confidence was as much a part of the look as the gown itself. We're already working on a video about Diana Ross and the Supremes' matching gowns, the coordinated looks that made them the most stylish group in Motown history, and the real reason they stopped wearing them. Press the subscribe button now so you don't miss it. The gowns Diana wore to perform her biggest hits became associated with those songs in fans' memories. When people heard Love Hangover, they pictured Diana in that flowing disco-era gown that moved with the music's building energy. When Touch Me in the Morning played, they remembered the more understated elegance she wore for intimate ballad performances. When Ain't No Mountain High Enough came on, they saw her in something powerful and commanding that matched the song's triumphant energy. These visual associations were intentional. Diana and her stylists carefully matched wardrobe to musical mood, creating complete artistic statements. The influence of Diana's gowns extended beyond special occasions into everyday fashion choices that Black women made throughout the 1970s. While most women couldn't wear sequined ball gowns to the grocery store, they could incorporate elements of Diana's aesthetic into their daily wardrobes. The emphasis on fit, the strategic use of color, the attention to detail, the confidence in presentation. These principles translated across price points and occasions. Do you remember the Diana Ross look that women tried to achieve for church, for work, for dates? It involved clothes that fit impeccably, colors that complemented their skin tone, accessories that added polish without clutter, hair that was carefully styled, and most importantly, that intangible quality of carrying yourself like you belonged wherever you went. This wasn't about pretending to be Diana Ross. It was about embodying the self-assurance and self-worth that her fashion choices represented. The wedding industry in Black communities was transformed by Diana's influence. Brides who grew up watching Diana perform wanted wedding gowns that captured some of her glamour. They requested dresses with more drama, more sparkle, more presence. Bridal shops and seamstresses adapted, creating gowns that balanced bridal tradition with Diana-inspired glamour. These weren't copies, they carried the same energy. This is a special moment, and I'm going to look extraordinary. Prom became another occasion where Diana's influence shone through. Black teenage girls in the 1970s begged their mothers for prom dresses that channeled Diana's aesthetic. Mothers and daughters would flip through magazines together, pointing at Diana's photos. These conversations were about more than clothes. They were about mothers teaching daughters that they deserved beauty and helping them achieve it. The economic impact of Diana's fashion influence rippled through Black communities in meaningful ways. Seamstresses built successful businesses. Fabric stores stocked materials they knew customers would want. This economic ecosystem supported Black businesses while helping community members access glamour. Diana Ross's gowns, impossibly expensive and exclusive, paradoxically made fashion more accessible by inspiring affordable alternatives created and for Black women. The preservation of special gowns became important in Black households. Women who'd invested significant money and emotion in a Diana-inspired dress didn't just wear it once and forget it. These gowns were carefully stored, kept safe in closets where younger generations would later discover them. Finding your mother's or grandmother's special gown from the 1970s, hearing stories about the occasion it was worn to, these moments connected generations through fashion and shared cultural memory. Diana's influence on formal wear for Black men deserves mention too. The men who accompanied women wearing Diana-inspired gowns understood they needed to step up their own fashion game. The 1970s saw Black men embracing colorful tuxedo jackets, stylish bow ties, and platform shoes. Couples looked stunning together, both dressed with a level of care and glamour that reflected Diana's influence on broader community standards. The intergenerational conversations about Diana's gowns created teaching moments. Grandmothers taught granddaughters about proper fit. Mothers taught daughters about choosing colors that complemented their specific skin tones. Diana Ross's example provided the inspiration, but these conversations passed down practical knowledge that served Black women throughout their lives. The emotional connection Black women had to Diana's gowns went beyond aesthetic appreciation. These dresses represented dreams made visible, aspirings given form, and proof that Black women could be the most glamorous, the most elegant, the most stunning people in any room. At a time when mainstream culture often failed to celebrate Black beauty, Diana Ross and her magnificent gowns was validation that they were beautiful, worthy of luxury, and deserving of glamour. This emotional resonance explains why women remember specific gowns decades later, and why Diana's fashion legacy remains powerful today. The legacy of Diana Ross's 1970s gowns continues to influence fashion today. Visible in everything from modern red carpet choices to bridal fashion to special occasion wear sold in department stores. But more importantly, the lessons Diana taught about fashion, that Black women deserve glamour, that confidence transforms any outfit, that personal style matters, remain relevant and powerful for new generations. Do you remember passing down your own Diana-inspired gown to a daughter or granddaughter? Watching them try it on and seeing their face light up when they looked in the mirror? These moments of intergenerational fashion sharing carry forward not just clothing, but values and memories. The stories attached to these gowns become part of family history, connecting generations through shared appreciation for beauty and glamour. Modern Black women discovering photos of Diana Ross in her 1970s gowns often express amazement at how contemporary the looks still feel. The silhouettes, the confidence, the way Diana owned every outfit. These elements transcend specific decades and remain aspirational. Young women today planning their own weddings or proms look to Diana's archive for inspiration, proving that true style doesn't age. The democratization of fashion information through social media has made Diana's iconic looks more accessible than ever before. Young people can zoom in to examine construction details, create digital mood boards mixing Diana's vintage looks with contemporary pieces. This ongoing engagement keeps Diana's fashion legacy alive and relevant. The body positivity movement has created new appreciation for how Diana's stylists dressed her real body, rather than trying to make her conform to a single ideal. Diana wasn't model thin or built like the mainstream beauty standard of any era, yet her gowns made her look absolutely stunning because they were designed for her. Diana proved that custom fit and strategic design could make any body type look magnificent. Some of y'all have saved clippings, photographs, magazine pages featuring Diana's gowns, preserving them in scrapbooks that document your decades of admiration. These collections represent more than fashion fandom. They're archives of inspiration, records of how one woman's choices influenced countless others, and documentation of an era when Black women claimed glamour as their birthright. The cost per wear calculation reveals why investing in special gowns made sense even on tight budgets. A Diana-inspired dress might cost real money for a working-class family, but that dress would be worn to the wedding, then saved for a daughter, then remembered and discussed for decades. Diana Ross's gowns taught Black women that sometimes spending more on quality and beauty wasn't frivolous. It was an investment in memories and dignity. The confidence that came from wearing a special gown had ripple effects beyond the specific occasion. Women who'd worn Diana-inspired glamour often reported feeling differently about themselves afterwards, more deserving of good things, more confident in professional situations. Diana Ross's gowns weren't just clothes, they were tools for transformation. The photography of Diana in her gowns became art that decorated Black homes. Posters, magazine tear-outs carefully framed, album covers displayed prominently. Young girls growing up seeing Diana Ross in glamorous gowns on their walls absorbed messages about what Black women could be. This visual representation mattered profoundly, providing alternatives to the limited images of Black women available in mainstream media. The conversations about Diana's gowns that happened between Black women across generations, grandmothers telling stories to granddaughters, mothers showing daughters old photographs, keep this fashion legacy alive in the most meaningful way. These aren't academic discussions, they're personal stories about what it meant to witness Diana's glamour, to aspire to similar beauty, to work hard to create affordable versions of impossible elegance. Looking back now, Diana Ross's gowns from the 1970s represent more than fashion history. They represent a moment when Black women claimed glamour without apology, when beauty standards expanded to celebrate rather than exclude Blackness. Those gowns changed not just fashion, but consciousness, not just how Black women dressed, but how they saw themselves. That's the real legacy, not the specific dresses, but the confidence and self-worth they represented. Which Diana Ross gown do you remember most? Was there a special occasion when you wore something inspired by her style? Do you still have that dress, or do you remember how you felt wearing it? Drop your memories in the comments below and let's celebrate the glamour that connected us all. Hit that like button, and if you want to help us preserve the history of this golden era, the fashion, the confidence, the moments that made us feel beautiful, please subscribe.